It's kind of wild how AI's everywhere these days, right? Like every time you turn around, there's some new headline, new breakthrough, new thing AI is going to revolutionize.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with.
And speaking of keeping up, you're definitely ahead of the game. That list of AI tools you sent over, seriously impressive. Language models, image generators, you name it, you're already diving in.
Well, gotta stay curious, right? See what all the fuss is about.
Absolutely. But let's be real. Sometimes AI can feel like, I don't know, stepping into the future, all this potential, all these amazing things it could do.
Right.
But then there's the reality. Like, how do you actually use this stuff in a business? Not just dream about the future, but put it to work now. And that's where things get interesting.
Definitely more complicated than just hitting download on the latest app.
Exactly, which is why we're diving into this today. We've got a consultant's take on AI adoption challenges, specifically in Indonesia, which is fascinating in itself.
Yeah.
And then this PwC report, which gives us the bigger global picture of where things are headed. So ready to separate AI fact from fiction.
Always up for a challenge, especially when it comes to something this impactful.
For sure. And this consultant's perspective, they're working on the ground in Indonesia, and it's a good reality check. It's not enough to have the coolest AI if you can't actually, use it.
Totally. This article nails it, actually.
Yeah.
Lots of hype, but how many businesses are actually seeing results? That's the real test.
Totally. And one thing they point out that I think rings true everywhere, not just Indonesia, is stakeholder buy-in. Apparently convincing the higher-ups that AI is worth the investment, it's not always easy.
Yeah. It's that fear of the unknown, right? This article does a great job breaking it down. People are worried about their jobs. They don't get how AI will actually help them. And nobody's really clear on what success even looks like.
It's like everyone's heard of AI, but not everyone's got the memo on what to do with it.
Exactly. It's this big abstract idea. That's why I like how this article emphasizes communication, you know?
Yeah.
Make it clear what AI can do, how it fits into the bigger picture.
Make it real.
Yeah.
And even if you get that buy-in, there's this other potential roadblock, and this is something we hear about all the time, data.
Ah, yeah. The fuel for the AI engine.
Or the thing that makes the engine sputter. Because it's kind of ironic, right? Everyone wants to build these super sophisticated AI models, but then this article points out a lot of companies, they're drowning in data. It's true. And not always the right data either.
Yeah, exactly. Inconsistent, inaccessible, inaccurate. It's like trying to bake a cake with half the ingredients missing and the other half are expired.
That's a vivid image.
It's a mess. And that's what they're seeing in Indonesia, at least according to this consultant. Crucial info trapped on paper, scattered across different systems.
Oh, I believe it.
It's a nightmare. And it highlights something so important. AI isn't magic.
Right. You can't just sprinkle it on a problem and poof, solved.
Exactly. And this isn't just an Indonesia thing either. This data dilemma, it's global, which, we'll get into more with that PwC report. But before we go there, this consultant's article, they bring up something else that's key, the people involved.
Ah, right. Can't forget the human element. Because it's not enough to just have AI, you need people who can use it. This article talks about getting your team on board, making sure they have the skills to work with AI, not be afraid of being replaced by it.
Yeah, that's a big one, that fear of being replaced. This article actually does a really good job addressing it head on. AI should be a tool that makes us better, not obsolete.
Augmenting, not replacing.
Exactly.
Imagine AI taking over all the boring, repetitive tasks, freeing you up to be more creative, more strategic. That's the dream, right?
Totally. Using AI to unlock human potential, that's what it's all about.
Totally. And speaking of unlocking potential, this PwC report, it paints a pretty amazing, or maybe kind of scary, depending how you look at it, picture of where AI is going globally.
So yeah, that's the one I'm really curious about. Where do they even start?
Well, first off, it seems like everyone's getting in on the AI action, but some are further ahead than others. The leaders, they call them.
Okay.
And what sets these leaders apart, it's not just about automating tasks. They're using AI for everything, making big decisions, developing new products, even shaping the employee experience.
Wow. So they're not just dipping their toes in the water, they're going all in.
Oh, yeah.
Do they say who these leaders are?
Oh, yeah. They name drop industries like finance, tech, healthcare, basically. Anyone swimming in data and dealing with really complex stuff that AI is perfect for.
Makes sense.
Right. But here's where it gets really wild. This report, they're saying generative AI. It's going to change everything.
Generative AI. Just for anyone who, hasn't had a chance to deep dive into all this yet.
Good point. Not everyone's obsessed with AI like we are. Basically, generative AI, it's AI that can create stuff. New content, text, images, even music.
Right.
Like AI with imagination. And it's poised to disrupt pretty much every industry out there.
Okay, yeah, that's a big deal.
And the funny thing is, your list. You've got some of the biggest players in generative AI right there. ChatGPT, DALL-E.
Right.
You're already on top of it.
We got to stay ahead of the curve.
Right. But before we get too carried away with all the cool stuff generative AI could do, let's come back down to earth for a second.
Okay, back to reality.
Because remember all those challenges we were talking about earlier? The data problems, the stakeholder buy-in. Those don't magically disappear just because we're talking about generative AI now.
In fact, it might even get more complicated.
Yes.
It's like we're not just navigating uncharted territory, we're drawing the map as we go.
Exactly. And that's why this next section of the report really caught my eye, because while it acknowledges the incredible potential of AI, it also shines a light on some of the risks and barriers that are holding companies back from fully embracing it. And some of these might surprise you.
Well, don't keep us in suspense. What sort of risks are we talking about?
Remember that whole data issue we were discussing earlier? Turns out it's not just a local challenge in Indonesia, it's a global headache.
Makes sense. AI is only as good as the data it learns from.
Precisely. And this report really drives that point home. It highlights how data quality, accessibility, and even potential biases within the data itself are major hurdles for companies all over the world.
It's a sobering reminder that we can't just throw data at an AI and expect miracles.
It's like expecting a gourmet chef to whip up a 5-star meal with ingredients that are past their expiration date. You might end up with something edible, but it's not going to be pretty or particularly appetizing.
A rather unappetizing thought, but an apt analogy. The report seems to acknowledge that these data challenges can't be ignored.
Absolutely. In fact, they dedicate a whole section to solutions. And they go beyond just saying, hey, get better data. They get into the nitty-gritty of how companies can actually improve their data infrastructure.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of solutions are they proposing?
Well, they talk about the importance of building a strong data foundation. They suggest investing in data quality tools, creating a centralized data repository, basically, getting your data house in order.
Organization is key, especially with the sheer volume of data most companies are dealing with these days. It's not just about having the data. It's about being able to access it, understand it, and ensure its accuracy.
And here's where things get really interesting. They suggest using AI to fight fire with fire. The report talks about leveraging AI itself to improve data quality. Imagine that using machine learning algorithms to clean up messy data or identify and mitigate potential biases.
It's a fascinating concept, using AI's analytical capabilities to address its own data limitations. It speaks to the evolving nature of this technology, constantly learning and adapting.
It's like AI is its own tech support hotline. But data isn't the only hurdle the report addresses. They also highlight the importance of having the right people in place.
Ah, yes, the human element. Can't forget about that.
Exactly. We've talked about how AI can augment human capabilities, but that requires humans with the skills and knowledge to work effectively alongside AI. The report stresses the need for more data scientists, AI engineers, and other specialized roles to guide the development and deployment of these technologies.
It's a classic case of supply and demand. The demand for AI expertise is skyrocketing, but the talent pool is still catching up.
And that shortage of qualified professionals can be a real bottleneck for companies eager to dive headfirst into AI adoption. They have the enthusiasm, but finding the right people to steer the ship is proving to be a challenge.
It's like having a fleet of high-powered sports cars ready to race, but not enough skilled drivers to take the wheel.
And just like you wouldn't hand over a sports car to someone who's never driven before, companies need to be strategic about how they're building their AI teams and ensuring they have the right expertise to navigate this complex landscape.
It's a critical piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, the report doesn't just highlight problems, does it? What does it have to say about the opportunities AI presents, especially when it comes to this revolutionary generative AI we keep hearing about?
You're right, we've focused a lot on the challenges, but this report is equally enthusiastic about the incredible opportunities AI offers. And when it comes to generative AI, they don't hold back. We're talking about advancements that could transform industries from the ground up.
I'm ready to be wowed. Give me the highlights.
Get ready for it. We're talking about breakthroughs in drug discovery, where AI could help design new medications or predict their effectiveness with incredible accuracy.
Now, that's what I call putting AI to work for the betterment of humanity.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop there. They talk about generative AI revolutionizing material science. enabling the creation of entirely new materials with specific properties, lighter, stronger, more sustainable.
The possibilities seem endless. And it's not just about these highly technical fields, right? I recall talk about generative AI transforming customer experiences.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine personalized marketing campaigns so tailored to your preferences. It's like the AI knows you better than you know yourself. Or AI-powered chatbots that can provide instant, helpful customer service 24/7.
That would certainly make those late-night calls to customer service a thing of the past.
No more hold music. And if those examples aren't impressive enough, the report even dives into generative AI's potential to reshape creativity itself.
Now that's intriguing. How on earth can AI influence something as inherently human as creativity?
Well, think about it. Generative AI can compose music, write poetry, even create stunningly realistic visual art. It's like giving everyone the tools to become an artist, a musician, a storyteller.
It's like AI is democratizing creativity, breaking down the barriers of technical skill, and unleashing a wave of new creative potential.
It's a pretty mind-blowing concept, right? And it makes you wonder, if generative AI can achieve all that, could it also be the key to unlocking some of those practical challenges we discussed earlier?
Now that's a thought-provoking question. We've talked about the hurdles of data quality and stakeholder buy-in. Could generative AI be the solution?
Imagine this. You feed generative AI all that messy, inconsistent data that's been giving companies headaches, and it spits out a clean, structured data set ready for analysis.
It's like hiring a team of digital librarians to sort through a chaotic archive and emerge with perfectly organized files.
Exactly. Or picture this. Instead of trying to explain complex AI concepts to skeptical stakeholders, you use generative AI to create compelling simulations or visualizations that bring those concepts to life.
It's about speaking the language of data in a way that's not only informative but engaging and persuasive. Generative AI could be the ultimate storytelling tool for the AI age.
It's almost like AI is becoming its own advocate, generating the evidence and the excitement needed to drive adoption forward.
It's a compelling thought, and one that I think we'll see explored more and more in the coming years. But, and this is an important but, we can't forget that generative AI is still in its early stages of development.
Right, it's not a magic wand just yet.
Exactly. As powerful as it is, it's also prone to biases, errors, and outputs that can be unpredictable. It's a bit like those first self-driving car prototypes. Incredibly promising, but with a few kinks to work out.
So while I'm excited about the prospect of generative AI helping us overcome some of these practical hurdles, it's not a silver bullet.
Precisely. We need to approach this technology with a healthy dose of caution and critical thinking. We need to be asking tough questions about how these models are trained, what data they're learning from, and what safeguards are in place to mitigate potential risks.
It's a bit like venturing into uncharted territory. We need to be aware of the potential pitfalls as we marvel at the breathtaking views.
Exactly. The future of AI, especially generative AI, is full of possibilities, both exciting and potentially challenging.
Which is why we do these deep dives, to explore these complex topics with open minds and a critical eye, considering both the opportunities and the challenges that lie ahead.
Because at the end of the day, it's not just about the technology itself, it's about how we choose to develop, deploy, and interact with it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, for everyone listening, as you go about your day, consider this. If AI could speak, what questions would you ask it about its own role in shaping the future? And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of AI, be sure to check out our other episodes where we tackle a wide range of fascinating topics, from the future of food to the mysteries of the human brain. We've got something for everyone.
We believe that knowledge is most powerful when it's shared and explored collaboratively. So we encourage you to share your thoughts on AI adoption, challenges, or opportunities you've encountered in your own lives. Every voice adds a valuable perspective to the conversation.
Until next time, keep diving deep.